I'm pressing streaming again to see what happens. It's about to probably make that sound again though. To see what happens. Okay, so it is making the sound, which is good. It's about to probably. I just have to figure that sound again though. To see what happens. I muted it and it's working. So go live.
Good job.
Yay.
Can you not see my goodies?
It says that it's going up live. Okay, now I have to mute this one. Yo, by golly, I think we've done it.
You've done it. I'm just here.
Now
it was all you.
Okay, so we're doing that. That's working. I want to see if there's a way I could tag you from over here just for the fun of it. Oh yay! Would you look at that? So
I love your Godfidence. That is such a good word.
It really is, because sometimes I swear, like, I'm questionable about myself. Like, sometimes I question myself because sorry, like, you're repeating now. Because sometimes, like, I'll play myself, you know, but there's that thing in the divine that will not play you. And so I trust that is in me a lot more than just the surface me. Does that make sense? Like, I know that makes sense.
You're talking to me here.
Yeah, I know.
Right? if more people would allow their God to manifest, the world would be a better place and I wouldn't be so stressed out. But because people haven't allowed their inner God or goddess to manifest into themselves in their daily behaviors, thoughts, and actions, then I'm deemed to be weird because I am absolutely attached to mine. Like, me and the divinity are cool. So
we tight like that.
Yeah. Honestly though, like, Future has this line in Chance the Rapper's song, and he's like, he's so high that him and God napping, and I'm like, yep, but not in the literal sense of like being high, and then like, but literally like that's how I feel, that I'm like, me and God are cool. Like, I'm like, this whole human stuff. Humans make life more difficult than what it needs to be. Divinity, this is just like, you walk in your faith, you believe in your faith, you move in your faith, and you do the divine's bidding, and the divine literally highly favors you. But everybody's not trying to be highly favored. Everybody's cool with being blessed, and I'm like, I like being blessed and highly favored.
Highly favored. And I think that the whole concept of wanting to do this thing was that some of the conversations that we have between me and you, Christina Muhammad, and other women are just so fantastic that I really felt like other people deserve the right to eavesdrop, you know? And one thing we were talking about is, favor with God, remember, is that, the kid that takes out the trash, sometimes the parent has like an extra $5, slides them an extra $5 bill, take that to the movies with you, you know what I mean? It's the kid that does the thing without asking. The parent got a little bit of extra favor for. So,
that's how it is.
Yeah. So, okay, this is interesting. I think I added it to my main page, so that way maybe you could pick it up. This is a slow process. And then I want you to tell me how it's coming across for you. I'm going to unmute it myself so I can see. No, it's working great. Fatima, woo woo. Okay, so one last thing we need to do. You're coming in good on that one. And then I might not even... This one, on this screen, you're kind of come a little bit left. Just a little bit to the left. Not too much, but just slightly. Oh, I guess left is the other left. I guess the other is oh, there she is. Okay, and then, oh yeah, that's perfect. Okay, so we're good. Well, kind of. Now it's back. I don't know what you keep doing that it keeps getting like, Can you see how it looks on your screen right now? Or no, it's going to be a delay. Yeah, it's going to be a delay.
Hold on. I can check.
This is so much fun.
Okay, so I see myself. And it's like I'm on the side, like you see half my face, right?
Yeah, a little bit. But then check it out. When I switch it to the next one, like you're good. So then you're too much that way. Okay, so it's all good. This works right here for now until we figure out better logistics. So let's get it cracking. We have an event coming up, right? And so we got some brainstorming to do, so other people get an opportunity to kind of sneak peek our process, you know. This is really exciting, actually, isn't it?
It is. I'm excited that you learned it. Like, you know, you said, you were like, we're going to do this thing. We're going to be able to live stream and we're going to be able to talk and it's going to be awesome. And you figured it out. So I'm always like, yes, you did it. So thanks.
Well, and the first person that I guinea pig with is you all the time. So it's only going to get better. This is our first time. It's kind of awkward, but hey, you know, we work with what we got and we fake it till we make it, right? We know all about that.
It's not, I don't think that we fake it. I think we just make it and people think that we had to fake it to get here. We learned, you know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, come on, you spent time learning it. You researched it. You figured it out. That's not faking. That's like, you did the work, you know? So, you know, I think that we should start giving each other and ourselves accolades for putting in the work to know what we know and do what we do. So it's not a mistake. Like, you did it. So
I think that there's some things that, like, you know, you and I, we practice the same shot, like a basketball shot 50 million times. And then when the crowd comes, they're like, that was amazing. And we're like, what did I do? I do that like all the time. And they're like, whoa. And we're like, that's nothing. But then there's these things like that. I have no idea what the hell I'm doing. And I'm literally using the divine. Like, I'm like, I trust you. And literally it looks like I've been doing this the whole time. And I had no idea what I was doing. But
It worked though. And you do know what you were doing. You know, I always tell people, and you do this too. You say that you're going to do something, and then you figure out how to do it. I think that's what, you know, faith without works is dead, right? So you can't just say, I want something, I'm going to do something, and then not put in the work to do it. Like, not Google it or do the research or whatever. So I think that being able to really admit that, like, yeah, you had faith that you were going to do this thing.
But I studied my butt off, yes. Yes, for like 15 hours. For 15 hours. Matter of fact, I had homies come through, and I had like steam coming out of my ear from all the information. And then one thing teaches you like this, and then you find out that that's with the old upgrade. So you just learn all that for nothing, and now it's time to relearn something else. All right, I have to give you that one, Fatima, because I did put in some work on us just to get to this level. So true that.
I know.
All right. So, let's talk about this event we got coming up on Saturday.
Yes. So, State of Women of the Global Majority.
Mm-hmm. So, we have panels going on. We have workshops going on. What do you like?
No workshop.
Which one are you most excited about? Like, what are you I know all of it, but like turned up the most on?
Being on a panel with you and Kim and Roseanne and who else is on this panel? Becca. I'm really excited to have conversations with women from various, not just cultural and ethnic and religious backgrounds, but academic backgrounds, geographical backgrounds, various experiences to come together and talk about what it really means to be women, and not just women, and talk about all of the injustices that men have against us, but like, what injustices do we have against ourselves? How do we move through that? What do we call femininity? How do we work together, understanding that we live in a society that is built off of race? And then how as women from different cultural backgrounds, and, you know, how do we help and assist Black women? Because Black women, unfortunately, in this country are the ones that are assisted the least. the least, but we do the most.
Sorry,
we do the most.
If you
right?
use less, we could work it because we can make up words like that. If you started using that word by the end of the month, it would be a new word that they would cop for themselves. That'd be like the new word.
Probably.
So I'm looking down because I'm writing stuff down because this is also brainstorming for us. So, but please continue. We were talking about injustice against ourselves. I wasn't ready for that one.
Oh yeah, so that just came to me. I'm a vessel. So I realized that as half the stuff that comes out of my mouth literally comes. It's the first time we both hear it. People don't understand that. But I think that that's a good term for it. So we as women, as humans, but specifically women, have allowed ourselves to be defined by a standard that has been created by men that aren't even from our cultural backgrounds most of the time, right? Especially if we're talking about women, the global majority. And then being able to say that we put ourselves through these rigorous like experiences, thoughts, emotions. We don't take care of ourselves. We don't remember to eat, to drink water. And that's just the physical aspect. But we don't understand that if we don't improve ourselves, then we can't ever help anyone else to the full extent of who we are. So we put ourselves in predicaments, most times not intentional, but that beats us up emotionally, right? In which now we are emotionally put in circumstances that are unjust, but still supposed to have to be, right? We're supposed to still produce greatness as we are in these unjust states. So for me, it's being able to say, like, what do we do? What do we do as women to ourselves that puts us in these scenarios? And what has society, done to us that puts us in these scenarios? And then, like, how do we support ourselves and each other, knowing that some of these things are systemic, and some of these other things are just like, we just as women haven't figured it out yet.
And you have theories about that, about if we don't figure it out, nobody's going to figure it out.
So, this is, like, touchy for a lot of people, but I just like to ask questions, right? If everything comes from home, why is it that men get to walk around as if they're better and more superior than those with wombs? If everything comes from a woman, if every human being comes from a woman, comes from what they call a woman, a womb, right? Why do we allow men to tell us what we're going to do with our bodies? Why do we allow men to talk to us the way that they talk to us? Why do we allow them to do that if we understand fully that they wouldn't be here if there wasn't for a woman? Period. Right? And so I challenge women to embrace their own power, to tell men how they're going to be treated and how they're going to be treated by, how they're going to treat them. And if not, then act accordingly based off of creating that boundary. I believe women should work to make themselves whole instead of working to make a man happy by trying to be whole, right? For me, I believe that women, through probably, and could be proven through history, so I'm going to theorize, and I know there's scholars out there who could probably write a whole dissertation on this, but in my theory or belief, I believe that the world was a matriarchal society at some point, right? We started there, right? Because we all know that men don't know how to preserve life. They know how to protect it. They know how to keep it safe. But life preservation isn't a man. That's not what they do. Women preserve life because they have to make life, right? So your body was technically created to make life. And so we're more likely to want to preserve it because for 9 months, you're preserving another life as it's being created within you, right? So, like, you're innately taught to be disciplined, to not do a whole lot of things that you probably were doing when you become pregnant, because in order to preserve the life in which you're creating, you can't do all of these things. Men never are put in those situations of having to actually understand giving up their own person to preserve the life of another, right? That's not how the earth and nature has created them to be. But they are aggressive, and I genuinely think that men use their physical power to override women and to scare women into submission, and not understanding that if women stood up and said, you couldn't come into my womb ever, right? Ever, until you got your life together, men would start getting their lives together, right? If we start telling...
Absolutely.
But we're not there yet. We don't understand. We don't understand the power in which we reign, and so we allow men to define our power, which is making us seem as if we're powerless. And I'm just like, I don't understand, right? Like, I don't get it. I have no idea why women allow men to talk to them the way they talk to them, and people are like, I don't allow. Yes, you do. If you've never told a man not to talk to you that way and not to treat you that way, and then you're surprised that he treats you that way, it can't always be their fault, right? I can say it's their fault if they knew and they did, but if they don't know what they don't know, whose fault is it?
You, because you should have made it clear.
I'm not having it, right? So I say all that to say, like, I have this belief that if women started to be who they are for real, the world would change. The world would change. Our communities would change, because men must realize they need us just as much as we need them. It's not they need us like we need them more, right? No. If anything, I can get a gun to do what a man do, if I'm going to be honest, right? If we're talking about protection and service, that's not all a man is. But for some reason, men have come to this thought that they're supposed to be these powerful, overbearing, like I
brought the money home, what else do you want from me type thing. Like, I brought the bacon home, I did my part, right? Yeah, and there's a lot of that. There is such a lot of that. You said something really interesting, though, too. You said, by nature, men are this way. And I have to agree with you. I think there are some things that are ways that are natural ways to men. But it's that spiritual thing that causes them to override what's natural to them, right? So, like, naturally we have, like, what, Darwin's theory or something like that, or self-preservation. Naturally you want to self-preserve and to survival of the fittest. That's a very natural feeling. But then it's that spiritual thing that makes you put yourself on the line for someone else, for your family, for your community, right? And so, yeah, what do you think about that? Just throwing that in there, you know.
I think it's so humans are a part of we're animals, right? We're still a part of this food chain, this earth thing. So I'm going to take it to a place that most people don't take it to. Humans forget that they have an animalistic, like, character traits, and that we're supposed to be attached to earth, right? So just like you can see in nature that masculine creatures, they act a certain way, and feminine creatures act another way. And I'm using masculine and feminine in terms of, like, you know, the duality of creating life.
Right.
That's it. That's how I'm using it, right? Because there's a duality that comes together that creates life.
The Star of David, the male and the female. Yes.
Right.
They do that. Right.
So being able to, you know, honestly have a conversation about what innately are animalistic characters in which humans have, and that because we have reason and logic, we don't embrace all the time, and saying that men in this society have been provided the opportunity to act a little bit more animalistic than women are, right? And then being able to say that not only are they able in society, and mostly Eurocentric men specifically, because, you know, men of the global majority, they can't act the same way that Eurocentric men act, period. And that's just how it is. So, but being able to say, like, I think that Eurocentric men have created a culture, a society, through imperialism, manifest destiny, colonialism, that has created men and humans to not be attached to nature, to not be attached to the thing that's instinctual about them. And so men have this way of mixing their instinct with societal norms that were created for them to act within, right? And so instead of them saying, this is something that was given to me, they're like, oh, this is what it takes to be a man. And I'm like, that's not what a man is, right? That's not how, to me, that's not how men are supposed to be. Men are the counterbalance to women, as women are the counterbalance to them. They provide a completely different perspective and, thing of life, and it's supposed to be freeing, and yes, it's like protection. And if they have a problem, men are really good at thinking through, like, providing solutions in ways that women aren't. Men are very right now problem solvers, and women tend to, like, long term, right? Like this is going to be a long term issue. What are all the things that we're going to need to make sure that this issue is, like, taken care of? And we can see that within the systems that have been created. We can see how kind of, I hate to say it, but barbaric men are of the Eurocentric view, based off the laws and policies that exist within this country, that have, cut out different types of people just because they're different types of people. Those laws were created by white men. And being able to establish that, like, a lot of what we call femininity, masculinity, have been created by some Eurocentric man to say that this is what this should look like. And instead of us figuring out what feels good to us as individuals, as our spirits, as our ancestors provide us, we have allowed ourselves to live within this matrix and to exist within the matrix as if it's real. And especially in Eurocentric, like, cultures where Eurocentricity is the norm, we live in worlds that they've created for us as if they're the worlds that, the divine and the universe created. No, it's not. It's just what we all have been duped to believe. So, like, that
really duped to believe. Like, really duped to believe. Like, Fatima, I don't understand, like, let's say even from, like, the Christian perspective, right? It's no stranger that a lot of Eurocentric Christianity beliefs are, a woman should be like this and a woman should be like that. But it's so hard for me to fathom because I don't really approach the Gospels or any religious text through that frame of mind. Like, there was this woman named Deborah, right, Fatima? This woman was the judge of all Israel, like, Fatima. When I'm trying to tell you, this was commander-in-chief. She could command an army. She did. Literally, she commanded the army, and the dude was like, the general was like, I'm not going without you. So, because Deborah was that cold. And she was like, okay, you're not going to go without me? Well, if I go, guess who's going to get the credit for the victory? She was like, me, a woman, right? But that's what I don't understand is, like, Deborah was the end-all, be-all of Israel. And Israel is, like, to Christianity and to Judeo-Islam is like, she was the shot caller. So come again, like, tell me how can in one text you say this, but then here she is just, like,
awesome.
I wanted to say balls hanging, but that'll work.
Yeah, ovaries, right? Because ovaries are a lot stronger than testicles are any day. Let's be real.
Ovaries just swinging.
Yes, right?
I don't get that. And Deborah is actually one of my favorite people from that text. And so that's the part that I still don't understand. And everybody does that. It seems to me that you have groups of people in every area that want to take something and use it to control. You know? In one facet of Islam, they say a woman covered because she's such a precious jewel that you should only hear what she's saying. That's one form of Islam, right? That instead of being distracted by her hair or anything like that, what she says is what you should be looking at. Well, that's a beautiful interpretation. And then we come over here is that she should be covered from head to toe because she ain't nothing. You know what I mean? She's nothing. She doesn't need to speak. She doesn't need... So there's all these different facets of different groups that want to take and use certain things to control. And so we see that definitely when it comes to the role that women have played in society or been allowed to play in society. You know, in Saudi Arabia, women just got the right to drive. We can just now get behind a wheel of a car. And I'm really curious, like, what are they so afraid of? Like, what are they afraid of by giving the woman the capacity? What took so long is basically what I'm wondering.
This is gonna sound harsh. And I'm a really peaceful person. Like, I really am.
But don't try me.
Right. Until women show men that they have enough, as much to fear and to lose from us as they think that we have to lose from them, we will always be waiting for them to give us rights. Right? We're always like, if we have wives of politicians and dictators saying it's okay for the politicians and dictators to supervise and destroy and get rid of beings that look like them, then of course we're going to continue to be with God. If women don't start seeing themselves in other women, then of course you're not going to be able to drive until it's 2017. Because half the people who are making those decisions have wives, daughters, mothers, right? And they're not speaking out for the fact that these are beings that they themselves see themselves in. So for me, it's like I can blame men to a certain extent, but like you just said, like there's so many bosses, and me, I love history, right? So like, for example, Harriet Tubman, people didn't call her a general, and we didn't learn how she was a general until later in life. We didn't learn how she literally led the army into the South to, like, in terms of in the Civil War. Like we didn't learn how much of a boss this woman was until, like, I want to say 2000s, right? Like, you hear stories about Harriet Tubman, but you're just not hearing stories about how
calling, like,
right?
Right.
In Jamaica, you have a woman who was a part of a Maroon tribe. I think her name was Mammy. I remember her name, but she's on the dollar. She's on the $500 bill. She led groups of people into fighting those who wanted to enslave them. And her group fought so hard that they had to actually write a treaty so that she would stop, like, her crew would stop, like, blowing them up and burning their crops and doing whatever it is that they were doing. To me, they don't want us to know how powerful we are. So they don't tell us about the women who have stood up and said, so we're not having it. And they don't let us know that there are women who, like, they talk about women goddesses and the goddess of war, and the goddess of war being a woman and being able to be a seductress and then an analyzer and a logic and then shoot a bow, like all of these things. You have all of these stories about how women can manifest to be not just these moms, right, but these warriors, judges, caretakers. You have priestess who were warriors. You have warriors who are priestess. Like there was nothing that we couldn't do if you actually start doing your research about the various women that existed before 500 years ago. But there's power in that, right? There's power in saying, I don't need a man to fight for me. I can fight for myself. I don't need a man to do that. I need a man to do some other things, whatever it is that he does. But being able to say that what we've done is we've attached what people do to genders. And in Eurocentric culture, we've allowed genders to be two things, and two things being woman, man. And if you're a man, you do this, and if you're a woman, you do this, and that's just how it acts. But if you do research in different parts of the world, there's way more genders than two. Way more genders than two. At least historically, and until colonization and whatever. But being able to say, like, if men weren't so afraid of losing their power, they would be okay with women having their own. But men think that we're going to do unto them as they've done unto others, and don't see the importance of how we don't even move through the world the same way. Like, my vengeance does not look like the vengeance of a man. My vengeance looks like the vengeance of God. Like, literally the wrath of God happens. If I'm gonna come for you, I'm coming with the ancestors' guides and God, like the wrath, right? Men don't come with wrath. Men come with, like, I'm gonna shoot you up or I'm gonna do crazy stuff. But it's not the wrath. Like, it's not strategic. It's not manipulative. It's not thought out. It's not a process. Women do all of those things. Men, they do.
But I don't want to, that's the thing about, okay, so make this agree, because I know you can somehow, so that, we got people who are listening with a certain ear, right? So we got to run it back, because I swear that when we fix certain words, things make sense to other people that might not be, right? So some people will be like literally that, you know, vengeance is mine, right? Says God. And then so God is within us, right? And so, but that's the thing is that like the minute that you get into manipulation, like there's this thing that when you're operating in God that you don't have to use manipulation. So like one thing that I'm saying, yes, you're right. Women use manipulation, I think, at a high level compared to what men could like operate under. It's just I guess the way that minds work, you know, like they're able to work on one lie at a time while women can maybe, you know, do facets of different things going on at the same time. So I do think that, you know, like I can understand that, but I don't think it's something we should co-sign on. We're not co-signing to using manipulation as vengeance.
So I think that manipulation has very negative. It has manipulation has a negative connotation to it. I think, right?
Right.
Not understanding that. You used to watch Pinky and the Brain.
I did.
Okay, cool. And people would think that the brain was the brain if you're more smart, but Pinky was the one who would come up with the idea and say it out loud. The brain would say that's stupid, and then would say the exact same thing.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, he would.
So, if I know that the only way for you to take my idea or to do something I need done is to say it in this way, and then you're going to take it, I technically manipulated you because I knew before doing it that the outcome would be the same, but it didn't. To me, I didn't do anything wrong. I moved in a way that would make the outcome be what I want it to be because I paid attention.
I call that influence rather than manipulation.
Fine, influence. Yes. We have a better influence. Fine. Wait, I call it the Pinky and the Brain effect. Like right?
Yeah, I mean, I hear what you're saying. You know, I'm just trying to tie our worlds together. You know.
Oh, I know. I'm just, you know, I'm real though. Like being able to, like, I've learned I'm in law school. I've been in various circles, and what I've realized is being in this body as a woman, people see it, especially men. They see it in one or two ways. Either they see me and they want to talk to me and they're here, or they just see me as a woman and they're asking me questions like, am I married, right? Or like, so you don't know me, I come to you giving my business card, and you're looking and you're telling me how pretty I am and how sexy I am and if I'm married, but I didn't come to talk to you about any of those things. I came to talk to you about policy or what the issue is, but for me, all you did was see me as a woman. You saw my body and you saw whatever. So unlike some women who get offended, I use it. Femininity is a beautiful thing.
Yes. I do too. Absolutely.
And if all you're gonna do is see me and my parts, then I'm gonna do a little shoulder, a nice little smile. I'm gonna flip my hair a little bit, and you're gonna tell me yes, right? Because you set this up. I didn't come in here wanting to use my feminine power against you. I came in here wanting to have an intellectual conversation, but you didn't see my intellect. You saw my body. You saw that I may or may not be attractive to you. So for me, I'm gonna disarm you, and then you're gonna give me everything I want. And I think that women sometimes get so offended by men and their masculine, animalistic selves and seeing us solely as who we are, like our vessels, and not like this and this. That to me, offense is an emotion and energy I don't have time for. Where I can literally use this.
Oh man, you just said
to get what I want.
You know, I think that yes, because I've done that. Like, to what I'm trying to say is that if somebody's trying to get at me, like I'll even use them trying to get at me to help them. Does that even make sense to you? Like, let's say for example they got a severe issue or a need, right? I will use the fact that they're trying to holler at me. I'll be like, yeah, well, why don't you come up to the church? Why don't you come up to the mosque? Why don't you come over here? You know what I mean? Because they're trying to get at me. But I'm not trying to get at them, but I will use that fact just to get them what they need. But I think it's so important. Like, I'm always monitoring my intent, right? I'm really afraid to use my superpowers, those femininity superpowers, for my own good. Like, if I wanted to use those feminine powers, I could get my bills paid. I would not be going through some of the things that I'm going through. Right? I swear. But I have to only use these superpowers for the good of mankind.
Yeah, it's true. It's like, true. Like, you can't, you can't use them.
No, if I can't. You know, there's one thing using your feminine powers, right, to make them think that you like them or they might have a chance. Like, that's off limits. You don't got to do any of that in order to use your feminine powers. You know what I mean? Like, I'm really particular about that. Like, I never want to use the gifts that God has given me, whether it be an outward appearance or femininity, to step on anyone else's throat, hurt somebody, you know, so like I'm always monitoring that. But I definitely, during the panel discussion, this is a must. What you said about, it's not fair that, like, me, Fatima, I have to keep it professional with almost every single body, because if I ever let down my professional face, I'm about to get hit on by dot, right? So I just keep, like, my open for business sign is closed, turned off completely, because if Joe sees me kind of opening up to Mark, now Joe, Chris, and David think that they can get at me. And now I'm constantly walking around with a fire extinguisher putting out that sexual energy. You know? But if nobody can get with me, right? If I continue to never have a boyfriend, then I can do multiple, because guys feel, if a guy feels rejected, he's not doing business with you. If a guy feels rejected by you, like, he's gonna not be as available as if there was a chance. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I do.
This is terrible. I'm writing this down on the panel list right now.
Yeah, because that's a real conversation. Because I'm like, I have so many thoughts about that. I'm like, yeah, but no. Because I think, like, for me, I was in the same place, but I became more brutally honest. And, you know, I used to tell men that, I sometimes, you know how you can see a man in his face, in his eyes, and he look you up and down, kind of bite his lip a little bit, you know, lick it, and you know that he had sex with you in his brain. Like, you know he had sex with you in your brain.
Like,
you
with an eye, yeah, with an
like, right? Like, you know that he's undressed you about 3 times and is doing some things in his head and has no idea who you, like, no, you know.
Fatima, okay. I say, hi, brother, how you doing? I bring out the brother card.
No, what I do, I said, so after you've had sex with me in your brain, can we have a conversation now?
Oh, that.
Like, I don't, this whole everybody wants to walk around the world and not state the obvious. And I no longer, we can't move to the solution if I don't at least state the obvious one time. And the one time is that men get away with sexualizing us without us saying, and it's not a big deal. Like, I don't make it, it's not a whole conversation. I'm just like, so when you done having sex with me, let me know and we can talk. And it's like, I'm dead serious, but it's not like, I don't have an attitude about it. You're being a human, your humanity, it is what it is. For some reason you decided not to help yourself, so I'm gonna call you out on it, and then move on. And then being able to be like, and then bring them back in, because the thing is, like, I think old women do it so well, especially old black women, because that's all I know. Like, you know, my grandma black, my mom black, my sister's black, everybody black, the women that I know. And black women have this, old black women, my grandma specifically, and I know other people can agree, it's probably the same in a lot of global majority, you know, spaces, is that the older we get, it's like our melanin makes us sweeter, but the truth is a lot harsher. And so we say, I know older black women will say something and you just like, it's so sweet and it feels good until you sit down and digest it and you realize it don't feel good, you didn't like it. It was like, oh, no, no thank you. I learned from old black women, I call it old black women people, to be sweet and honest. It stings a little bit, it feels good, but it puts you in the place in which you need to be in regards to dealing with me. Now, whatever woman allows, you to do and be that way with her, great, awesome. I can't talk about what another woman allows. But for me, I don't allow men to, like, sexualize me without making them, like, understand I know they're sexualizing me, right? Like, you're doing this, we're doing this, cool. And then I'll make men uncomfortable because they'll say, you know how, like, men make these sexual innuendo, like, they'll make these sexual nuances and they'll pull them out in the conversation. And for me, I'm gonna roll with it. Like, you wanna, I'm pretty sure you can't handle a brother because, I do yoga. Like, I'm all for it. Like, let's go. We can do it.
I don't know. And for me, I shut it down so much with my energy and facial that most of them don't even have the audacity to even come at it like that. Like, I don't know what it is. It's because I've prepared the energy from before I even got there.
And me, I'm so free. My energy is like it's just so everybody just feels like I like people to be their freest version of themselves are there around me because I want to be the freest version of myself when I'm around. But I also have boundaries, and I also this goes back to, like, the originating theme of the panel is I noticed, like, not to love myself. I used to cut myself for 10 years, so I know what not loving myself is. And so being able to say that not knowing and now knowing what loving myself is means that I respect myself enough to make others respect me. And if you can't respect me the way that I've worked hard for to learn that I need to be respected as and the things that I need to do, then we can't communicate. So it goes back to, like, women and humans really understanding, like, their own loving themselves enough to know how they should and should not be treated and how they should be able to be made to feel and not. And for me, I'm not going to be the only one uncomfortable. If you make me uncomfortable, I'm gonna throw that uncomfort right back at you. We can be uncomfortable together. Period. Because I've worked hard to be comfortable in my own skin, in my own body, in my own thought, in my own mind, in my own emotion, my own spiritual practice. I've worked really hard for that. So I don't ever think that anyone should allow someone to feel uncomfortable about putting in the work into themselves to say, hey, because I know my value and because I understand my worth, you or no one else will treat me or talk to me in a way that makes me feel uncomfortable. Period. And that just has to be okay. And women first need to learn what makes them uncomfortable, what they don't want, what they don't like, so that they can make others do it.
There used to be a time if somebody was trying to get at you, like, they first, had to, like, they met you, right? And then they would have to come and meet your family. Like, they would come and meet your family and see if it was okay to date you and stuff like that. And then after they met their family, they would meet your friends, and they would see, meet your friends and stuff like that. And then after that, they go on to a more intimate place, right? Now we start from the intimate place. After, if we decide that they're good enough intimately, now you can meet my friends.
Yep.
Okay. And then if that works out, my friends like you, then now you can meet my family and just decide that they like. It's the process has become completely, backwards. It's almost like first we'll have sex like a handshake, and exchange it literally. And the woman, she's the one who lets him enter her. Do you feel like that's a little bit different? Tell me how you think that's different. Like, do you think it's different? I mean, it is different, but do you think that the responsibility changes because it's him entering her?
I think that once again, this is where women have power and they don't see it.
Right.
He has to consent to him entering her.
So she has all the
like you can't even right? Like you can't do a man can't do what a woman doesn't allow them to do, and that's the problem, right? Like we haven't even conceptualized and embraced the fact that a man cannot, if he's a man, we're talking about real men, we're talking about men who understand, right? If he's a man, there's no way he's going to do something to you that you don't want done. If you are a being that can be entered, and you haven't worked out the issues and the emotional stuff, then you're going to allow any type of man to run through your womb. Now, if you are someone who's worked out your emotional stuff, you may still have sex with different people, but that person isn't going to be a person that's going to bring energy into you that you don't need, want, or desire, because you know you enough to know what type of being should be in your sacred space and to exchange that energy, right? And so being able to say, we allow someone to be in us, like they're in our bodies, right? So what does that mean in saying if energy is exchanged between people who don't touch? I don't touch you, and we're going back and forth. But now, not only am I touching you, but you're in me. So whatever is in you is now in me, and whatever is in me is now in you, and we're exchanging that shit. Whether it's STD or negative energy, there's an exchange, right?
I think that because of condoms, people think that exchange doesn't happen like that, and they're so mistaken.
That's not even smart. Condoms are for, like, you're still in a person, like you're still your like,
spiritual entities are literally
connected like this.
So much so that if there was no condom, another human would come out that's half them, half you.
Yep.
If it was male and female partners in that exchange, literally another person that was half them, half you would come out. But we think that because we put the condom as the barrier, which is really a crazy concept in itself, it's like we're putting you put a condom on with the thought that I like you, but not that much, right? Like, I like you.
Not enough to have a baby by you. Not enough to, I don't want to be in your life forever. I tell people, I'm sorry to cut you off, but I tell people all the time, if you thought, could I raise a child with this person? Is this person going to be a good parent? How many people won't have sex with the other person?
Oh my gosh, Fatima! Like, why? I learned that a little late in the game, but I learned that. You know what I'm saying? I learned that, and it changes everything.
It does.
Everything.
It does.
You'll look at your partner like, okay, if you're not willing to, then why are you allowing that person in that? You know why? Because we are living off of I want to feel good right now. Instead of getting the good stuff for the long run, we want the feel good stuff right now. We want the microwave. We want I want it right now, right? Oh, that's something. That is really something.
The man that I was with, and I dated, and he and I used to have these conversations all the time, but and I tell people to this day, he was a man that if I got pregnant by him, I'd be okay with raising his child, like living with him for the rest of him and I having to be in each other's life forever. Like, I was okay with that. Like, I was fine. But it was a thought for me. I was like, oh, if I engage in sexual behavior with this person, there's a possibility that I can get pregnant by him. I don't care what, scientific things exist. There's always a possibility, right? And so for me, my thought was, would I be okay with carrying this man's child and having to, him being in my life forever, right? Because you're literally in the other person's life for as long as that child is alive and even after. So I didn't even start thinking about it until I started dating, until I dated a man, and I was like, oh my goodness, how many people actually think about this? How many people think about if they want to be in this person, if this person have the characteristics and the traits that you would want your child to be raised by, right? What does that mean for men as well? Because I'm going to put the charge on men. So women, we allow them to, but men, they don't check themselves to see if they're even full enough to enter into a woman. Are you enough? Are you worthy of being in another being? That's an earned right. I believe that, you should earn it. However a woman makes a man earn it, and hopefully it's not materialistically, I hope it's a spiritual kind of thing, but being able to say that, having, I'm back, my phone rang. Having someone earn it, having someone earn it means that they're worthy of it. You took time to see if they were worthy of it.
Some people think that earn it means that he stopped at Whataburger and brought you a box of chicken on late night. It's like, girl, he earned it.
Like, but he didn't know. Like, but he didn't know. But he didn't know.
Oh my!
Like if you can pay for it, if it can be paid for with human, with a cash transfer, that's not earning it. Because that's not, your womb is worth more than anything a man has made. Your womb is worth understanding what that man is made of, like what that person is made of, like what do they believe in, what are their values, what are their beliefs. If they get stressed out, how do they act, like all the things. We don't take that time to figure that out. We just give our wombs up and say yay, and then we have no idea why we acting crazy. It's because we slept with a man who slept with a woman who was a little crazy, and he was a little crazy. So now you got a double crazy that's gone into your womb, and your womb was settled. Like you were all grounded and you had done your work, but now you're like, oh my goodness, I feel crazy, and you don't know why. Instead of asking yourself, who did I sleep with?
It's so real out here. It's so real. You can pick up, like, you can start dealing with stuff. See, some people, they carry stuff, right? Like, they carry stuff with them, right? And to them, it's normal because they've been carrying it their whole life. But mess around and let you have to take part in union with what they're carrying, you might feel like you're dying. You could be like, I don't know why I feel suicidal. I don't know why I feel like I just feel so heavy. It's because what they've been carrying, which is nothing for them. What you don't realize is that person walks around with that all the time. They walk around with that thing all the time. But now when you take part in it, you're like, what is this weight on me? What in the world is this weight on me? And it's that. This is how it feels for you to carry their stuff. Man, girl, I'm 22 minutes to church, late to church, but you know we having church right here. Oh my goodness, this is good. This is so good.
It's real. I think that like people should have more conversations that develop not just ideas, but like plant seeds into realizing that who we are isn't always like who we're supposed to be. And that a lot of us are what society says we should be, and what society says that we should be has crippled us and allowed us to pick up people's energy and not realize it, walk around broken and not understand why, allow a being that cannot give birth or produce life to dictate what we do and how we do it. And being able to say, yeah, we know all these things, but what can they do and what can we do to make sure that that's not the norm anymore? Because I don't think men should be greater than women. I really don't think women should be greater than men. It takes both to create life. And so because if it takes both to create life, why is it that men get to walk around and be free in themselves in whatever culture, race, or religious background, but women are so subdued to the theories of men? And in this American culture and other Eurocentric cultures, we're actually subdued to the ideas of Eurocentric men. And what's really messed up about it is that people who aren't Eurocentric pick up these character traits and don't even see how they're oppressing their own people and their own kind because they've picked up the Eurocentric norm that has been given to them by masculine men. Masculine Eurocentric men specifically, right? Like we don't even see how we've taken those norms and oppress our own people because the norms have been given to us and passed down for so long. We can't even identify where we got some of these things from. I tell people all the time, who created that standard and why do you believe the standard should continue? And most times people are like, what do you mean? I'm like, who created the standard? Like, literally, what system did that standard come out of that we all believe in and practice? And why do you feel like we have to continue it? Because we can't keep on talking about the issues and keep on doing the same things. It doesn't make sense. Like, how are you going to keep complaining about the fact that men don't know how to treat you, but you're not telling a man how? How are you gonna talk about men don't love and respect you, but you don't know what love and respect of yourself is? How are we going to do these things if we're not going to change and be able to identify that some of us don't know how to do these things, some of us never learned how to do these things, and some of us don't want to?
How do you think, whatever, the image of women of color being like, half naked in music videos with one man surrounded by 5 or a dime a dozen females. Do you think that this has impacted the dynamic between men and women, especially in the POC community?
Of course, I think that, but it's been saturated to that being like the only view of us, right? So understanding that women who, like, I would walk around naked if the world was okay with being disciplined of allowing women to walk around naked, right? So I don't walk around naked because the world can't handle it, not because I can't handle it. Like, we were born naked. I don't understand. But being naked has been attributed to sex. And because you usually see half-naked women doing things that are hypersexualized, there's this one concept that is created based off of being half naked and then sexuality, right? And that was something that was created. My only issue with that is that it's usually the only standard. Like, people don't get to see that we are bosses and we change the world, or that woman who's on that stage probably runs a nonprofit and helps little girls like figure out their own, like, work through their own things, and this is a way that she makes money and she's comfortable with her body and she's cool with it, so this is what she does, right? Like, I think that what happens is things are created to be one-sided so much, or if you are naked on a music video, then you have no respect for yourself, and that's not true. It's just that the society has said that because you're half naked in a music video, you have no respect for yourself, and that is the only narrative. And I don't think that that's a fair narrative. I think that, there's women who dance or are exotic dancers and have the best workout plans. Like, they literally hang from the rafter, which means that they have to work out and practice to be able to hang from the ceiling, right? These are things that people don't talk about from that perspective. I think that the way that we talk about it causes such a negative connotation to it, and so then therefore people are totally against it, but not understanding that we're not really women have been utilizing their bodies to get ahead for a long time, because that's the system that men created for us. Like, we had no other way out. Like, our way out was men wanted it, we got it, and I'm okay with giving it to you. It don't cost me, I don't care. And then women go out and do it. I'm not saying that it's okay or not okay. It's not my place. Right. But being able to say it's how we talk about it as if it's the only, and that's the problem. Because that's not the only version of us, but that is what American culture has allowed people to see, and so that causes us to think and be seen as only that, and that's not the case at all.
And I like what you said, about that, because, running it back to monotheistic belief system, God was like, who told you you're naked? Like, who told you that? Where'd you get that from, right? That's not based on the truth. Somebody told you that's got you feeling insecure and self-conscious, right? So I totally hear what you're saying that. But I guess also the reason why I think it gets twisted into that is because we're living in a perverse world where if a man does see a naked woman, he's not looking at her like a daughter, a sister, or, he's literally lusting after her. So then that's when it becomes something different. In one culture, if you're walking around in that culture with no top on, but your boobs, tits, whatever have you, are not sexualized, then that's one thing. But if you're in another society that causes boobs to cause someone to pour out their lustful energy on you, now we're dealing in a whole nother ballgame. So good luck with that. Like, good luck with that.
But let's be real, right? Like, most things that come into place in terms of our bodies benefit men. They don't benefit us, right? So even like we were talking about women who are covered in, the Islamic religion, right? And it's because women are so beautiful. But is it because we're so beautiful, or is it that men can't control themselves because we're so beautiful, and now we have to change what we're doing to make them comfortable? What?
No, that's another version of it. That's another version.
I'm just. At what point can we be real and say that women are subjected to changing and altering our lives and our existences because men can't handle themselves, and because they can't handle themselves, then therefore I have to be covered from head to toe? I'm not saying that it's not a thing. I'm just saying that why do I have to, if it's not my choice? If this isn't something that women have come across, if women haven't created it, then why do men feel like they should be able to say what happens to us and what we do when they're not the ones covered from head to toe? You walk around covered from head to toe. Or you walk around with cover your eyes with this. But what if we said men, because you guys don't know how to be disciplined when you see us, then you all need to be blindfolded in the presence of women?
Fatima,
I'm just creating that other style.
Yeah, yes, it's out of choice, and any woman that wants to cover her head, in a choice vein, that's what it's about. Choosing to do, and we have so many different areas of the world that is not chosen to wear the hijab, it is forced upon them to wear the hijab. And then you have to even ask yourself further, if there weren't certain constructs, would they be choosing to do it as well? But as long as a woman does it out of choice, that's it.
I don't think that we're given, I think that the whole system is screwed, right? And then we gotta go because I have to be working. We gotta go.
Yeah, I'm 32 minutes late.
But I think that and this is gonna take it to another level, and you gotta rock with me for a little bit.
All right, come on.
What if Jesus was a woman, right? What if God comes back as a black woman and says, "Hey, I'm divinity"? Would anybody believe her? And then being able to say, why are all the gods that are monotheistic? Why do we call God He when God loves like a mother? Right?
So the reason why I was
hold on, wait, I'm not done.
I
know why.
I thought you were
I know why. I know why. But what role does that play when you make all of your gods and all of the things that are greater than yourself, when you make them men or masculine? What role does that play in regards of how women are defined and see it, right? Because before monotheism, it was polytheistic, right? And they were gods and goddesses. But when monotheistic ran about,
before, but during, at the same time, or
right. And then but one came first, right? Polytheism.
No, you can't believe. If you're monotheistic, you jumped out the gate on Genesis. So
right. Right.
Yeah. So it was at the same time you have polytheistic. So you had, I know what you're trying to say. You have polytheistic evidence in the world showing up before the monotheistic. Is that what you're trying to say? We'll rock and roll with it. We'll rock and roll with it.
Right? Because Moses took them from, right? You guys. I don't
necessarily. I don't think that, because for me, some of these things actually happen. So the flood story, you're gonna find it everywhere, right? You're gonna find.
So what I'm saying is, you're gonna be. Don't get caught up in the details, right? That's so because you're talking semantics and I'm talking theory, right?
Yes.
The fact that God is He.
Right.
What role does the God of He and solely he, not he, she, or not just omnipotent and God doesn't have a gender at all, which is really, what I believe. We should just be calling God God and not God he or she, whatever. But the fact that we use masculine terms to define God makes it harder for women to not listen to man, because man is manifest as God, right?
I could totally see how in a feministic society that kind of misconstrues what feminism is sometimes, they have a hard time dealing with those terms. And I agree with you. Like, I agree with you. I battle a lot with using he or those nouns, right? But the reason why I've always have thought it was okay, or I approved of it, was the role. So I'm like you. I believe God is a spirit. God is a spirit, not feminine or male. Godhead is a spirit. And the reason why they assign those male attributes are the same reason why they do feminine attributes to Mother Earth. It's the role that they play. So like, if God be the one implanting the seed into the womb of Earth, and then Mother Earth being the incubator that brings it forward. So just like in Spanish, we give the male or the feminine pronouns or things. Sometimes it has to do with the role that they're playing. That's why they give a feminine or a masculine thing. So it's the seed. It's the germinating the Mother Earth, just like and Mother Earth, and you have all these different times that the feminine is given because of the roles that they play in real life, coexisting with something that doesn't have a womb. So like the Earth doesn't really have a vagina, but yet it still manifests the features of a womb. I don't know if you, but that's why I always thought that they did it, is what I'm saying. But I can totally see how in this day and age, how they would, a lot of women would have a hard time processing, I think, that. But I don't see it as too much of a big deal when you're looking at it as how they do the roles that they play, like that.
So is Mother Earth different than God? Are they two separate entities that share the same power level?
So for me, no, they're not the same. That's a very
right.
Good.
Right, and that is the point. The highest of the high, right, that we all consider to be the great, is masculine. And even though the role that they coexist with Mother Nature still doesn't supersede the high, which is still considered masculine.
But
and
that's
to me,
where you're gonna pimp slap me, because I'm okay with certain.
I'm not. I'm not. Like I think that humans limit God. I know. If God is everything, right. God is all. God is omnipresent. Right. Then God is earth, God is air, God is the universe, God is all. Period. Period. Right?
Wait,
good, bad, ugly.
God has created all. Is that what you're saying?
No. Because you can find God, you should, if God is what God is in every religion, you should be able to find God in all things.
I can.
Right?
I can find God in everything. Because God created it.
Which means, so we're saying the same thing.
Yeah, of course we are. Of course we are. But
we're saying the same thing just differently, right?
Some people prefer it the way you say it, and some people prefer it the way I say it.
I guess as long as it equates to the same thing, I'm good. God is all things. Like God can be seen in all things, and to me, that means that God is omnipresent, and in that omnipresence, God is our ancestors. God is the energies. God is all things. Right? We have, and I think this goes to this one story in the Bible. The Tower of Babylon. I think that we were all one, and then we were all in our divinity, as in we were all able to tap into our inner gods, and when we decided that we wanted to build a tower to get to get to God, God was like, see, so now I got to separate all the power. So now, like, this tribe gets this part of me, this tribe gets this part of me, this tribe gets this part of me, and each tribe mastered a part of God, because we were not able to exist with the God that God allowed us to see within ourselves, without thinking that it was our divine right to build a damn tower to get to heaven, right? Like, we want to do it live.
I love that.
Right? And so for me, I'm trying to get people to see, if we tap into all of it, our ancestors, we tap into Mother Nature, we tap into the energy, we tap into all of it, then we literally manifest the God that's within us, and then we can see the God that exists within all things, because God created all things. And I think that that's a problem, is that humans we've partnered, we separated, like, we called it religion, and we separated it. But if we look at it for real, we would see that it's all parts of reaching and tapping into our divinity. Some people call voodoo bad, but all voodoo is people, like, utilizing nature to heal and to see what nature has.
People use Mother Nature sometimes for their own, that manipulation that we talked about.
That's in everything, right? That's in everything. Christians, Muslims, like, everybody does it. It's human.
And any time that it goes back to the intent thing, is it love or is it lust? It always goes quantifying it back to that thing, love or lust. But anyways, that was good. Anyways, please.
Well, we have to go now, right?
Yeah, we really do. I know that you say things like, so you say tap. I want to clean this up just for those, because I always feel like we say the same thing, but a lot of people can't hear what you say because they hear it through some propaganda or some thing that they've been taught over and over, and they don't think, for themselves or outside the box, or even try to hear what you're saying through a new framework, right? So when you say ancestors, so many people of monotheistic might get alarmed and get all a certain way about it, but I think it's beautiful what you say. Like, if you look into the scriptures, you find numerous times that the fathers of the gospel are showing up in spirit, and communicating, or they'll say, I saw Abraham, I saw this thing went on there. So I think it's so important sometimes for us to hear what someone else is saying and try to find common ground in what they're saying, instead of just cutting it out or discontinue. Find what is it that you can agree on, and not everything. Like, you're open-minded. You're so open-minded. Me, I want my mind open to everything. I've been like, no, not too open. You know what I mean? There's certain things, like, you're so free. There's certain things that I just like, I'm not even opening my mind up, to that door whatsoever. And so just finding this place where, and that's why I think that you and I need to do more of this, is because we can show how language, people get divided through language, and finding a place where we can find commonality, through the language and what you're saying, because immediately people will shut off. Oh, she said this, I'm out of there. But wait, where can we find agreement in that thing? How can we find a place of common ground? Or even, it's okay that, I don't agree with you. Because, like I did say, there's a part of me that does believe, like, for me, if you have a man and a woman in a household, it's almost like the man has, like, the 51% vote, and the woman has the 40%. I know you'll have a stroke on that. I know you'll totally have a stroke on that concept. But to me, the idea is this. If me and my man are on a road together, and we have our children with us, and he says, we're going right, and I say, we're going left, then there's going to be a point where we're going to be divided, because I'm saying we go left, and he's saying go right. So I almost feel like there is this position, and you're going to have to teach me different. Look at your face. Look at your face. I almost, it's like that 51%, like that 1% goes to homie. You know, and I'm okay with it. It actually turns me on, Fatima. It turns me on. It turns
I know
me
what you're
on.
talking about. I know what you're talking about, but it's not a 51%. It's just like when a man knows, and that's sexy, right? But I don't think that what a man knows is always over what a woman knows. Like for me,
No,
like
I
for
don't
example, in
think
that
that
situation,
either.
I used
That's
to work for
different.
OnStar, right? So I used to work for OnStar. When I used to work for OnStar, I used to give directions every day. Like it was my job for at least 9 hours a day. I was on the phone, providing people with directions, and then like literally having to manually read maps. If I get to, if I'm in a car and the man says he's going left, I'm not saying I won't believe that he knows, but I need to understand why he made that decision.
Oh.
That's anybody, right? Like anybody to me is like, give me the reason, and I'm down for it. I don't like the fact that because he's a man, then all of a sudden that becomes the reason, and I hate that. Like,
yeah, I'm not talking about. I hate that too. I'm not talking about the fact that he's just in the car with you, because, like, going back to that Deborah thing, you might outrank this fool spiritually. Like, seriously, if I outrank you spiritually, sit down, right? Like, no, I agree with that completely. But what I'm talking about is in the household, there is this, like, I'm not gonna pick it. Idiot. He's gonna know that his girl is wise and got mad insight that he doesn't have. I can't imagine marrying a dude who doesn't want to hear everything in full detail of what I'm thinking, right? But there's this thing that like that final, like, okay, the final say so is this. Like, I don't know, it kind of turns me on a little bit.
But you allowed him to have it though. That's what I'm trying to get you to understand. It's still, you still trust him enough to know that he can make the final decision and you're going to be good. So that's still like you having the power to say, hey, you can do this for me. Like, for example, I'm going to say I don't roll cigarettes, right? Don't like rolling cigarettes, will never learn to roll a cigarette. People who smoke the loose leaf cigarettes roll them all the time. I think it's awesome. I don't want to learn because I like the fact that I have to ask someone to do that for me. I like having someone to be able to do something for me, and that is rolling a cigarette is one of them, right? Being able to say that I still have given up, like I made a conscious choice and decision to allow you to make that decision for me, right? I think that's not. And okay, like, let's take a step back. I don't believe in 51-49. I believe in a transfer of energy. So if I'm at 100 and you're at 100 and there's a transfer of energy all the time, then no one's depleted. No one is having less than the other.
No,
it's just we just have roles, right? Your role isn't predicated on you being a guy.
But
your role is predicated on who you are.
Final say thing that happens. And I like the dude to have that swag. Fatima, tell me what to do. Tell me what to do, girl.
But you let him know.
Yeah,
like
it's true. I let him. And you couldn't even do it unless I let you. Like, it just was.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Like, don't get me wrong. I think it's sexy as I don't know what for a woman to be like to boss me, right? For I don't have to be a boss. A woman to be the boss that she is. I think it's beautiful. I'm like, yes. Tell me what to do. You want me to sit over here? Great. But I have to rock with you, and that's a choice that I'm making. I'm literally saying that you have proven to me that I can trust you with this decision and doing this. And it's sexy that you think that you can. So, like, yes, right? I get it. It's still, you're still allowing them to do it. And there's power in that.
All right, this was a great conversation. I have a feeling we're going to have to make a lot of different tweaks to this video to get it the way that we want. But we had our first run, and this is just going to be the first of many conversations that we have. Because this was so good. This is a really good conversation. And I think if other females tune in, they're going to be, I shouldn't say females. You get in trouble now saying females. Did you know that? It's like you're talking about.
I talk in front of people, so my language.
You have to teach me later. You have to teach me later why people are so offended. I don't even understand. Like, a woman and other women. Come on. Yeah, later tell me because I gotta get to church. I'm running late. I want to know why we can't use the word female no more. I love you so
Because
much. I love you so much.
someone said that we can't, and we never, like, people don't like to talk about why we should not be, there's so many things.
Are we
But we
really?
can talk
Do
about.
you say we're not supposed to use it? 'Cause then I'll speed it up.
Because I talk to the masses, and I know the masses don't always like that word. I call it self-identifying women. But then what I say is the dualities. When I'm talking literally about creating life, there's one thing that we call male, and there's another thing that we call female, or is called female, that creates life. Period. I don't care how you spin it, because of all these other things. There is a duality that has to exist, and that duality exists when it comes to the biological creation of life. When it comes to the societal norms, I just say people self-identifying women, or individuals who identify with masculinity or femininity more. So I describe it.
I think we're going to talk about that during the panel.
Okay.
I think we should, because lately I hear, don't say female. I was like, what? Why? But everything is politically correct. Everything has to be politically correct. Anyway.
Not everything. Who created politically correct? Some white man. Just saying.
I love you.
I love you too. Thank you. You're awesome and amazing and all things great.
I love you so much. Till we meet again, my friend.
See you Saturday.
Bye. Saturday.
Later.